1 week ago today began a spree of crimes connecting 3 Central Florida counties. A father is remembering his daughter killed after being carjacked as another family prepares to lay their family member to rest.
Plus, it has been more than a month since a 3-year-old boy was shot and killed in Lakeland, but one of the suspects remains on the loose.
If you're helping him, you're going to find yourself arrested as well. You're going to find yourself put in jail.
Why the search is spanning all the way to right here in Orlando. And former Florida Governor Bob Graham has died. Politicians on both sides of the aisle are finding common ground this morning about the legacy he leaves behind.
Local, live, late breaking. WESH 2 News Sunrise starts now.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Meredith McDonough.
And I'm Jason Guy. We need to get to First Warning meteorologist Kellyanne Class to get you ready for this heat we're going to feel in the day ahead. Kellyanne, soon and very soon we're going to be talking 90s.
Yeah, it's going to be hot going into the next couple of days. And even starting today, we are going to be on the unseasonably warm side. Out the door right now, plenty of clear conditions all across Central Florida as high pressure is in place. And we're on the comfortable side for many, but still a little bit cooler north and east of town. 58 degrees at the moment in DeLand, 58 also in Palm Coast, but 61 in Daytona Beach, 62 in Sanford, 65 in Orlando, and a very warm 72 degrees in Melbourne. We're at 60 degrees in Denellen, 59 in Romeo, Reddick at 62, Marion Oaks also at 62. We're at 64 degrees in Webster, 65 in Center Hill, 56 in Paisley, and Astatula at 68 degrees. So it's a comfortable start, but for some you still may need that jacket. Then looking ahead to the afternoon, we're going to warm up with temperatures reaching the upper 80s and soon the 90s. Well, more details coming up in a few minutes, but first let's get over to Paola with a check on the roads.
Good morning, Kellyanne. Good morning, everyone. We do have a crash to warn you about this morning. This is on I-4 eastbound near 417, just headed towards that in Sanford. So something to watch out for as you make your way out. Here is a live look at that now. As you can see, the right lanes, 3 light lanes are blocked off, but the left lanes are able to get by, but traffic is moving pretty slowly right now. Definitely something to keep in mind. Give yourself plenty of extra time if you're heading out in that area. Crews are on scene, though, taking care of that crash. We'll have another check on traffic and a check on your travel times coming up in just a little bit. Jason?
All right, Paola. This morning, Floridians are mourning the passing of our state's former governor, Bob Graham.
He also served as a U.S. Senator, and the news of his death is getting reaction from many in our state and beyond. Graham's family released a statement that reads in part, "We are deeply saddened to report the passing of a visionary leader, dedicated public servant, and even more importantly, a loving husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather." Graham spent nearly 4 decades in public office. He was elected to both houses of our state legislature and then named the 38th governor of our state, serving from 1979 to 1987. He then served as the U.S. Senator until his retirement in 2005. Republican Senator Rick Scott posted this on X. "Bob Graham was a good man and a great Floridian who dedicated his life to our state. His legacy will live forever, not because of any title he held, but for what he did with those opportunities to improve Florida and the lives of families in the Sunshine State." And Florida Democratic Chairwoman Nikki Fried said that Bob Graham exemplified what it meant to be a servant of the people. He gave everything he had to the people of our great state, and boy did he love our state with all of his heart and all of his being. Graham was 87 years old.
It's been 1 week since the beginning of a string of connected crimes, ending with 2 deaths. Juan Garcia was killed Wednesday night, and Catherine Aguas Vivas was kidnapped the next day. WESH 2's Tony Atkins is live at the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. And Tony, we heard from a heartbroken father as he spoke about his daughter, Catherine.
Yeah, Jason, he mustered up the courage to talk. He didn't want to go on camera, but he did speak with a TV station in Miami. And as you can imagine, this news, he says, rocked his family. Now, we do know that Garcia's funeral is set for this morning. And Catherine's father, he also adds that he wants people to cooperate with investigators because he says his daughter was today, but he doesn't want anyone else's daughter to be tomorrow. For now, reporting live in Seminole County, Tony Atkins, WESH 2 News.
New details this morning. It has been more than a month since a 3-year-old was shot and killed in a triple shooting in Lakeland. This is a picture here of the little boy. Now, one suspect is still on the loose, and now officials say he could be in Orange County. Investigators believe that Kavarius Green was the one who fired the shot into a vehicle that killed 3-year-old Jaquez Norton on March 11th. Green turned himself into the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office last month, but Demarius Wilson has not been caught. He's the twin brother of 22-year-old Camarius Wilson, who was also killed in the shooting. Officials say that Wilson has ties to Lakeland, Plant City, and Orlando.
If you're helping him, you're going to find yourself arrested as well. You're going to find yourself put in jail. So do not help him.
We just want our voice to be heard since it's been over a month already and he's still not found. I don't know why it's taking so long.
Wilson is considered armed and dangerous.
A Seminole County grand jury indicted a man for a murder after authorities say they caught him with the victim's car in Michigan. Investigators tell us 28-year-old Elliot Jeltz took off after deputies found 75-year-old Kenneth Vitagliano stabbed to death at a home on Nova Road in Sanford last year. They believe the two got into an argument that escalated into a deadly stabbing. Jeltz was indicted on first-degree premeditated murder and grand theft.
In Marion County, documents reveal new details about a man accused of violently kidnapping a woman and then holding law enforcement in a standoff in the Villages. James Savage told law enforcement demons were taking over his life. Savage also allegedly made a number of threats to law enforcement at the scene, and he also threatened to harm himself and blow up the house. Savage's mental state will likely be debated as he faces trial.
The next time you're at a gun show and want to buy a firearm from a private seller in Volusia County, the law has changed. It no longer requires a 3-day waiting period and background check for private gun sales. This change came last night, but with some concerns. 3 speakers, including a Deltona City Commissioner, told the Volusia County Council to be very cautious in repealing an ordinance that would eliminate a 3-day waiting period and the background checks needed to buy a gun. On second reading, the council voted unanimously to adopt the change.
3-day waiting period is not infringing on anyone's rights to own a gun.
If you're upset or something emotionally upset and you go in to buy a weapon and you can walk away with a weapon, it's not right. You should have some kind of de-escalation period.
The council adopted the ordinance, which goes into effect immediately. It does not impact the background check requirements imposed on licensed retailers under federal or state statutes.
We now know everyone who is running to fill Regina Hill's seat. The deadline to file to run for the District 5 seat was yesterday afternoon. Nearly a dozen people filed paperwork, but only 7 qualified. And here's a look at the list right there on your screen. Now, some have a history in politics, others are community activists, and others have roots in District 5. If no one wins more than 50% of the vote on May 21st, the top 2 finishers will have a runoff election in June.
Class will resume today at Johnson Middle School in Melbourne. There was a power outage at the campus yesterday morning. It knocked out the air conditioning and forced the school to cancel classes. Repairs were made and the AC is running again. This morning, a group of veterans are flying to our nation's capital. It's part of an honor flight to visit war memorials.
WESH 2's Bob Hazen is live at Orlando Sanford International Airport. And Bob, dozens of people will be on that flight.
Yeah, 148 people is what we are being told, and they are going to board that flight to D.C. in about an hour from now. And we are told that there are veterans here from World War II, from Vietnam, obviously, and some of the more recent wars as well. And they have some that are in their 90s, so decades and decades of service in the military and to their country here. Now, this group is set to, again, go through the war memorials in Washington, D.C., and then fly back to the Orlando Sanford International Airport. They're arriving here around 9 o'clock, where they'll have another reception when they do arrive back home. Reporting live at the Orlando Sanford International Airport, Bob Hazen, WESH 2 News.
Today, leaders in Orange County will celebrate the grand opening of a brand new place for people to enjoy the outdoors. Summer Lake Park is opening up in Winter Garden. It's on Porter Road, just down the street from Summer Lake Elementary. Mayor Jerry Demings will cut the ribbon this morning at 9:30.
And now let's talk about the forecast out there. Waking up, very clear conditions. Feels pretty good out there, Jay.
Yeah, it really does. Now, get ready. Heat is coming soon enough, Kellyanne.
Yeah, it's certainly going to get hot this afternoon. We're talking about 4 degrees above average for some, which is actually going to put us into the upper 80s. Now, right now, things are pretty comfortable. We're at 65 in Orlando, 67 degrees in Kissimmee. It's 64 in Ocala, but 58 degrees in Palm Coast and a very warm 72 degrees in Melbourne. But look at where we go today. Inland spots, most of us in the upper 80s, just a couple of middle 80s east of Orlando. And then if you're along our beaches, along I-95, you're expected to reach the low 80s. This is not going to last long. Soon we track the 90s, and it's for a good chunk of Central Florida. We'll talk much more about that coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Kellyanne. Police caught an 8-year-old boy behind the wheel driving on a highway in St. Louis.
Where police found his mother and why she's now facing charges.
Plus, more housing is coming to Osceola County. How people can qualify to live more affordably.
Watching WESH 2.
Another Ivy League is in the hot seat over free speech centered around the conflict between Israel and Hamas.
Columbia University's president and board co-chairs will be testifying today on Capitol Hill. This hearing is about the university's response to anti-Semitism on campus. Testimony on that topic is why the Harvard and University of Pennsylvania presidents resigned last year. The University of Southern California is also under scrutiny. It says its pro-Palestinian valedictorian can't speak at graduation due to security concerns.
I stand by human rights, and I continue to. That's not something I'm going to apologize for.
A report from the Anti-Defamation League shows a record number of anti-Semitic situations across the country, and they're skyrocketing after Hamas attacked Israel.
New on Sunrise, out of St. Louis, a mother is facing charges after police say she had her 8-year-old child drive her car while her toddler was also in the car. 28-year-old Latonia Mays Gale was allegedly passed out in the back seat. Documents show the child was instructed to drive because she said she couldn't. An officer spotted the car before they were pulled over. Officials say that she was under the influence of alcohol when they found her. She has since been charged with child endangerment. Several affordable housing projects are underway in Osceola County. One of them just received a nearly $2 million boost from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Haven on Vine will include about 80 affordable housing units and about 40 units for what they're calling emergency or bridge housing. They will vary from studio to 2-bedroom apartments. Kissimmee's deputy city manager says it just goes to show the critical need for more affordable housing in the area. Tenants have to meet certain eligibility requirements, including having lived in Osceola County for at least 1 year. 26 families have already moved in. And meteorologist Kellyanne Clash joining us now. Can't believe we're already talking about turtle nesting season and just really the warm weather that seems to be on the way.
Oh, and we are talking straight summer heat. Our temperatures tomorrow start in the upper 80s, mostly though low 90s.
Wow.
Upper 80s here though today in Central Florida. So we're talking about 4 degrees above our average high temperatures. And from there, almost 10 degrees above average. We'll talk about that, but let's at least talk about today's forecast to start. 88 is where we'll be at in Orlando. Areas east of Orlando that are kind of sandwiched in between Orlando and I-95 will be in the middle 80s, and then our coastal locations along I-95 will reach the low 80s. But for many today, this is going to be considered unseasonably hot. But hey, this morning, it's off to a nice start. We're at 65 degrees in Orlando, 66 in Claremont. It is 67 degrees in Leesburg, 64 in Ocala. A little bit cooler out in Palm Coast at 57 degrees, and we are at 72 in Melbourne. So as you get the kids ready for school, do know it is a comfortable start to our morning with clear conditions. When you pick the kids up, it's going to get hot with our temperatures reaching many locations in the 80s. And with high pressure in place, we'll have plenty of sunshine as well. We have 2 areas of high pressure. We have this surface area of high pressure just off of our east coast, and then we have an upper level area of high pressure out in the Gulf of Mexico. Those 2 combined will give us plenty of sunshine going into the afternoon and dry conditions as well. And with that, again, we're going to heat up. Then from there, we're hotter. Saturday, Sunday, temperatures reaching the middle 90s. An isolated shower possible Sunday, otherwise dry. Next cold front tries to move in Monday. All right, it is 5:21. Let's get over to Paola with a check on the roads.
Good morning, Kellyanne. Good morning, everyone. Right now, we are taking a live look. This is I-4 eastbound. This is headed towards 417, and there was a crash in this area earlier, but it seems like it's now starting to get cleared up. Crews had 3 right lanes blocked, but the left 2 lanes starting to go by now. As you can see, the crews are just starting to move out of the scene there. So again, I-4 eastbound. This is in Sanford, headed towards 417. So it looks like that will be cleared up soon. Here is also a live look in downtown Orlando. Good morning to those of you traveling out there now. I-4 looking good in both directions. Also a check on some of those drive times. So if you're heading out on I-4 westbound, St. Johns River Bridge to Fairbanks Avenue, right now about a 17-minute drive for you guys. 417, the turnpike to 408, about 18 minutes. And I-95 to 417 looking good there as well with a 21-minute drive. Mayor?
Paola, thank you. Grammy-winning Colombian superstar Shakira is going to be on a world tour when she'll be shimmying through the Sunshine State.
Optioning sponsored by Morgan & Morgan. Dial #law on your cell phone.
The future Boeing Starliner is what we're talking about this morning. It's flown twice to space, but never with a crew, and that's all set to change.
When a critical test flight is set to launch off of our space coast.
Plus, cutting down on response times for fender benders.
How FHP is using technology to help speed up the process.
What does breaking news look like? At WESH 2 News, it's a team of journalists connecting you to what matters most.
Also happening tonight,
it's a reporter gathering facts to go live in your community.
Live from Orange County.
It's a forecast focused on accuracy to keep your family safe.
good line of storms about to hit.
From the sky, on the ground, or on the go. This is what breaking news looks like. And it's all here on WESH 2 News. Local, live, late breaking.
Now on WESH 2 News Sunrise, the father of the woman who was kidnapped during a violent carjacking in Seminole County is speaking out. The message he has for the suspects this morning.
Plus, our series of the dangers of distracted driving continues. The ride-along that shows just how hazardous it can be on the interstate when there are roadside emergencies.
And the countdown to the Paris Games is on. We officially mark 100 days to go until the Summer Olympics. How the City of Light is preparing to host the world's best athletes on a global stage.
Local, live, late breaking. WESH 2 News Sunrise starts now.
It is 5:30 on this Wednesday morning. Thank you for joining the Sunrise team. I'm Jason Guy.
And I'm Meredith McDonough. It definitely feels like spring out there this morning, waking up to temperatures in the 50s and 60s this morning. Meteorologist Kellyanne Clash joining us now. Kellyanne, we are in though for a hot afternoon.
Oh yeah, so don't let this comfortable start fool you, because this afternoon we're warming up into the upper 80s. Out the door right now, we're at 65 degrees in Orlando, 67 degrees in Kissimmee, even warmer in Melbourne at 72, and our coolest spot at the moment is in Palm Coast at 57 degrees. So for many, we're slightly warmer than yesterday, but for especially Brevard County, Central and Southern, we're about 10 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, all thanks to a southeasterly wind picking up around 10 miles per hour. Later on today, it'll be around 15 miles per hour. That's going to warm us up for our coast into the lower 80s, but our inland spots really feeling that heat, upper 80s to near 90 degrees. But soon, most Central Florida locations will be in the 90s. We'll talk much more about that coming up in a few minutes. First, though, let's get over to Paola with the check on the roads.
Good morning, Kellyanne. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, halfway through the work week, and right now we are starting things off on a regular note as far as traffic. I'm not seeing too many crashes or issues affecting you, just the usual traffic. This is a look at I-4 eastbound near Lake Buena Vista, and you can tell that traffic is flowing, but obviously it's starting to build up a little bit as we work our way into almost the 6 o'clock hour. Here is also a look outside. This is a check from our tower camera here at WESH. I-4 looking good in both directions, not so many issues or trouble spots out there. Again, I-4, whether you're traveling east or westbound right now, off to a pretty good start. We'll have another look at traffic and a check on your road conditions coming up for you in just a few minutes. Jason?
All right, Paola. A plea for help today as deputies continue looking for the people responsible for kidnapping Catherine Aguas Vivas and setting her truck on fire. Her father's now speaking up for the first time.
WESH 2's Tony Atkins has been covering this story from the beginning. And Tony, this heartbroken father spoke with the media in South Florida. New video this morning shows the moments shots rang out in Deltona. Well, this happened Sunday night in Manny Rodriguez Park. Court documents show a fight over a girl led up to this. 19-year-old Jeremy Castillo Ortiz appeared in court yesterday. He is charged with a principal attempted second-degree murder. Deltona City Commissioner Dana McCool believes that gun safety is something that needs to be talked about more.
I'm trying to educate parents, young adults better on what the hazards are. Now you have somebody that's in the hospital in bad condition over a stupid argument. It was really over a junior high school argument.
Castillo Ortiz is currently being held without bond. A group of Central Florida veterans are flying to the nation's capital today.
Yeah, this is all part of an honor flight to visit some war memorials. WESH 2's Bob Hazen is live at Orlando Sanford International Airport. And Bob, those veterans are taking off for D.C. in about 30 minutes.
Actually, they're already boarding the plane right now. In fact, if you look behind me, this is the walkway down to the airplane. Many of them have already gotten on, and if you look over here to the left, you can see some of the folks still getting through the line here to get onto this Allegiant Air flight. Actually flying to Baltimore, and then they're going to be going to Washington, D.C. after that. It's about 148 people. That includes veterans and the people who are traveling with them. This flight organized by the Villages Honor Flight. They're traveling to Washington, D.C. after having a breakfast here at the airport this morning, visiting all of the war memorials in Washington, D.C. Many of those memorials dedicated to the battles and the wars that these veterans fought in overseas.
Thanks, Bob. This morning, we know the results for the runoff elections held yesterday in 2 Orange County cities. In Winter Park, voters elected Craig Russell to City Commissioner Seat 2. He beat Jason Johnson by just 34 votes. In Winter Garden, Ileana Jones beat Ron Mueller in the race for City Commissioner of District 2. Jones won more than 52% of the vote. Orange County's mayor says transportation safety and improvements will continue to be a priority.
That's despite the fact that commissioners have voted against a sales tax hike to help pay for those enhancements. The money would have paid for expanded bus service and extended hours and routes for the Sunrail commuter train system, as well as more roads and better roads. Now, the mayor talked about achieving that goal going forward and promised that he's not giving up on targeting 2026 for a proposed tax increase for transportation.
Well, there's no good time to tell people that you're going to have to pay more taxes or more taxes is needed. And at some point, our community will have the tolerance to say that, okay, we're going to all have to pony up some additional dollars in order to have the kind of desired results that they're looking for.
The Accelerated Transportation Safety Program has a variety of transit goals and a $100 million county budget, focusing on increasing routes in the Lynx bus system and making other transit improvements.
All right, it's 5:39, and on this Wednesday morning, we are getting you ready for above average heat.
Meteorologist Kellyanne Clash joining us now. So Kellyanne, our afternoons certainly are warming up, but it's a great start to the day.
Beautiful start to the day. And just like we say every day in the summertime, now's the opportunity to get outside and go for that long walk or take the dog out, because going into the afternoon hours, it's going to get hot, and it's going to get hot quick. Right now, we're at 65 degrees in Orlando, 64 in Ocala. A little bit cooler in DeLand and Palm Coast, both at 58 degrees, and much warmer in Melbourne at 72 degrees. Today, we're not expected to see any heat, or record heat rather, but it certainly will be hot with temperatures reaching the middle and upper 80s. But starting tomorrow, especially for Leesburg, we're looking at record heat. 90 degrees is your record high in Leesburg from 1990. You are set to tie that. Orlando and Sanford, nowhere near the records, but we'll get close in the next couple of days. We'll have more of those details coming up in a few minutes.
Major changes could be coming to Eatonville with a new museum that could soon call the town home.
Plus, NASA and Boeing's Starliner spacecraft is marking a major milestone. What this next step means for future flights to the International Space Station.
New rules are going into effect soon, limiting how many banned books some people can challenge in schools. Governor Ron DeSantis signed the bill into law yesterday in Jacksonville. Starting in July, people without kids in a district can only file 1 complaint per month. DeSantis says that some districts may have gone too far, removing titles from schools.
You have some people who are taking the curriculum transparency and they're trying to weaponize that for political purposes. And so that involves objecting to normal books.
The new law does not limit the number of challenges a parent with children in a school can file.
And Governor DeSantis also signed off on a bill that'll give Florida families free access to swimming lessons. SB 544 requires the state health department to establish a network of swimming lesson providers that would take part in a voucher program. The program covers the cost of swimming lessons for families with incomes up to 200% of the federal poverty level. A family of 4 would have to make a maximum of $60,000 a year to qualify. Eligible families need to have 1 or more kids between the ages of 4 or younger. The bill signed into law sets aside $500,000 for this program.
The town of Eatonville is one of the top contenders for a new Florida Museum of Black History. Town officials say it ranks second among 8 potential locations. As we've reported, the state is considering the site at the corner of Kennedy and Wymore on land owned by Orange County Schools. Now, the task force will meet this Friday in Tallahassee to discuss details and also answer any questions about each potential site.
Okay, so we need good launch weather and it's just warmth. That's what we know we're going to be feeling.
Yeah, so Kellyanne, how are things looking for the launch tonight?
Near perfect. We have just a few clouds that will quote unquote be a concern, but not really a concern. So conditions are good from a weather standpoint. Just know that it's going to be hot during this time with temperatures in the upper 80s and middle 80s. But overall, the forecast for that launch, we're looking good, 90% favorable. It is all thanks to a big ridge, upper level ridge of high pressure in the Gulf of Mexico, but also a surface high pressure just off of our east coast. And those two combined are going to lead us to plenty of sunshine for the afternoon hours, but also it's the reason why we're going to get hot. Even by lunchtime, we're already into the 80s. But for now, not too bad of a start. We're at 64 degrees in Ocala, 65 in Wildwood, 67 in Winter Haven, 62 in Sanford, a little bit warmer along the Space Coast at 72 degrees in Melbourne, and a little bit cooler north and east of town, Palm Coast and DeLand at 58 degrees. So it's a comfortable start to the morning. Some still may need that jacket as you get out the door, but when you pick the kids up from school, we have plenty of sunshine, and we're also looking at very hot air. Here's that big upper level ridge of high pressure centered over the Gulf of Mexico. That's going to be the main driver for the heat today through the weekend. So today we're topping out into the upper 80s. A couple of spots, including the Villages, Wildwood, and Winter Haven, nearing the low 90s. Coastal locations will be cooler because of an east-southeast wind. We'll see our temperatures there warm up into the low 80s. And then our surface area of high pressure keeps multiple fronts out of central Florida. So it's called a blocking area of high pressure. So no fronts in the forecast now through the weekend. So it's just going to stay sunny and hot. So hot that we're almost nearing 10 degrees above average on Saturday, as we'll climb to about 93 degrees on Saturday. And as that ridge of high pressure continues, not only will we see that heat, but also the sunshine. If you're heading out to the Orlando Air Show at the Orlando Sanford International Airport, we are looking at near record heat for Saturday, and it stays hot on Sunday with temperatures in the 90s, but at least there's not really a lot of rain to be concerned about. Then on Monday, we track a front that tries to squeeze into central Florida. This will bring in about a 30% chance of rainfall for the afternoon and evening. However, it's not really going to bring cold air. Behind that front, we're only going to see temperatures drop into the upper 80s. Some models suggesting maybe the middle 80s by Wednesday, but from there we warm back up into the upper 80s. So get ready for a hot stretch of weather. There are a few isolated rain chances on Sunday, and then on Monday we're increasing that threat to 30%. Paola, good morning.
Good morning, Kellyanne. Good morning, everyone. Right now, we've got a live look outside. This is a check on I-4. This is westbound, where you can see traffic starting to pick up. It's a little bit heavier on this side. It was even heavier a little bit early, just about 20 minutes ago, when traffic was basically at a standstill, but it seems like it's now starting to move a little bit quicker now. This is near State Road 535, which is south of Popka Vineland Road. And you can see that on the eastbound side, we're also seeing a little bit of that heavier traffic as well. Here is a live look outside. Also a check on I-4. Traffic is flowing nicely here. A check from our tower cam here at WESH. Overall, no issues or delays for those of you making your way out this morning on this Wednesday. Also a check on some of those drive times. If you're heading out on the Turnpike 27 to I-75, about 21 minutes. The same if you are headed the opposite way. We'll have another check on traffic and your road conditions coming up in just a little bit. Jason?
All right, Paola. It was no surprise that Caitlin Clark was chosen first in the WNBA draft, but her salary as a rookie is leaving some fans astonished.
Plus, game 1 between the Magic and Cavs is just days away. How the two teams stack up when it comes to the playoffs.
The race for the gold's getting a lot closer this morning. We're exactly 100 days out from the opening ceremony at the Summer Olympics in Paris. Olympic venues there are, and also other parts of France and Tahiti are getting ready to welcome the world's biggest sporting event this summer. Paris will have 15 of those competition venues for the Olympic Games and will host 21 of the 32 Olympic sports in and around some of the most iconic monuments. Coming up at 6:30, so in just a little more than a half hour, we're going to speak to NBC's Keir Simmons. He's joining us live from Paris. He'll have more on the preparations underway there in the City of Light. Several affordable housing projects just got a major financial boost from the government. How it'll help families living right here in Central Florida.
Plus, the family of the victim in the carjacking in Seminole County is speaking up. Tony.
Yeah, the message that the victim's father has for anyone with information. Kellyanne?
It's going to be a hot day ahead with temperatures reaching the middle and upper 80s. No records today, but soon we're going to be talking about a stretch of record heat. We'll have more of those details at 6.